And here's the basement. This is what was called an old sister room back in the day, old house. Used to fill this room up with water here. But I decided to add on a few tanks. I think in the last video I did down here, I was just completing this, but it was all empty yet. There was nothing in it. But here it is now today. This is a 75-gallon, and I put more of the aggressive fish or fish that I camp out with corals. They hang out in here. The lunar wrasse, Niger trigger, a damsel. Back there we have a dragon wrasse who is camera shy. He never comes out when I have this thing. There he is. He's a neat little fish, got like them horns on his head. Got a awesome light on there, as you can see. I was outside in the shed, it's all rusted. Just hope no flakes are falling in there. I do have chains and such to hang a light from the ceiling in here. I just haven't gotten that far yet. And up there we have a lionfish. He's one of my favorite fish. He's neat. The things he does, swimming upside down, straight up and down, vertical. And when you put a rosy red in there for them to go after, his little dance he does with his tail is pretty neat. And there's the Niger, the lunar. This guy's a meanie. He bite your finger. And the damsel, nowhere else to put him, so he ended up in here. $3,000 per hour power head in a 75-gallon tank. Sure, it's a little big, but it works. I don't seem to mind. A lot of them like to play in it, swim against it. Here we have a refugium, a 100-watt fluorescent bulb in there, or 100-watt equivalent, I should say. I think it's like 25 or something. Miracle mud in the bottom. There's a lot of pods crawling around in there. All kinds of critters walking around on the sides in the sand. And the algae there. I mean, that ball is just growing out of control. Been feeding it to the tangs. They love it. Still can't keep up. Every now and then I just flip it, rotate it. It still needs to be trimmed down more. It's getting huge. And just little strands that have broken off are growing over there pretty well. All this is a 27-gallon stock tank. Just put a drain in there. Works great. And over here we have a 65-gallon stock tank. There is nothing in here at the moment besides some live rock and a few mushrooms that are growing on them or fell off and growing elsewhere. But I can see that there are obviously a lot of critters that are walking out of this rock at night because they've got like a sand trail like almost covering the entire bottom of this thing now. So that stuff's getting tracked in and out. I did have fish in here for a while for friends and family. Hold on to them if they get too many fish or something. We take a trip and get way too many for their small tanks, so I just hold on to them for a while. But eventually this is going to be used for frags. Here to be a good place to put frags. And I suppose if I ever had to do something to, let's say, my main tank upstairs, I could take take the fish out and put them in here temporarily, or coral, or whatever. It's just nice to have. And the extra water volume. And a heater in there, just to disperse it more evenly. It definitely helps. And that's just another regular light, but this one's in a lot better shape. And it's hanging. Obviously, to put frags in there, I'd put a LED or a halide on there. I have a halide I possibly could use in the future, or an LED by then. But all it is a half-inch PVC coming in that just splits off in each tank. With that block line at the end of each one. And then the drain is an inch, just a single inch and a half going out. That was a job getting that hole through there. I mean, that's, I don't know, probably somewhere between 8 and 10 inches thick. Super old. I spent like 3 days getting that hole in that wall to run that drain pipe in there. And it's 3 separate stands, and then just combining them all into one in here with 2x6s for the top. And some storage in there. Put all my bulk resupply, calcium, alkalinity, magnesium, bucket, spare RO filter. That's that room. Nice low ceiling here in the old house. Over here I have 2 bins. I gotta start filling them up with water and make a stand for them. And here is the filtration room. This is where all the fun happens. Spend a lot of time in here. It's a big maze of wires and hoses and loops just everywhere. Up at the top we have the 150 gallon per day RO unit. It's got the dual membranes on it, so rejected wastewater from the first one goes into the second membrane and tries it again. End up having less wastewater. That's nice to have. Which then goes down that blue line there and ends up going into the garbage can over here with a float valve in there. Just keeps her topped off for me. And then there's a maxi jet in there that pumps the water into my sump. The drain from the other room and the drains from upstairs go into the bioballs here. Being the bioballs are submerged, it's pretty much acting like live rock. They're not out of the water. And the way it is, how I did it, is I have like a melt crate under there. It's just holding it up, and then a ton of holes, like 1/4-inch holes drilled in it, and getting excellent aeration that way. Don't have any problem with air, that's for sure. And over there we have a low level top off water, and then a high level safety. And even if the high level were to fail, it'll still shut off because there is a time limit that it can run in one session, and it can only turn on every 30 minutes. So like splashing going by, it ain't gonna go on, off, on, off, on, off. Once it goes and shuts off, it's off for 30 minutes before it can come back on. Another new addition are the UV sterilizers. They are 36 watts a piece, so 72 watts. Just have them hanging there. Look from one end into the other, and on the other end we have the water coming in and the water coming out, which goes into my manifold over there. And one of the outlets feeds the reactor, which runs GFO and ROX 0.8 carbon from bulk resupply. Third one there is feeding the skimmer. And the fourth one is now feeding bio pellets, which I actually just started yesterday. You can see right there, I have a Avast Media, the build-it-yourself kit. Full of some bio pellets there, things tumbling going on. And the reef octopus skimmer. And we have the Apex Junior, the PM1 module, which does my float switches, as well as a pH or warp probe if added on in the future. I do plan on adding a pH probe, even though it never changes. Every time I test it, it's 8.4 every time. No matter what time of the day, it doesn't change. And 8 outlet module there, as well as 2 BRS dosing pumps for dosing alkalinity and calcium. Those are running for, I believe, 9 minutes and 45 seconds every hour. And they're 1.1 milliliters per minute. Every hour on the dot, so let's say 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, the calcium goes. And every half hour, so 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, and so on, the alkalinity goes. So they're spaced out. And the 2 poles here for supporting the floor from the tank above, because that's where the 210 is, right on top. Decent amount of weight. And it's also serves a place to put my board to mount everything too, so that worked out nice. Just kind of do everything as I go along. Calcium jug back there, and an alkalinity. The skimmer outlet goes through a filter sock. That's just to cut down on bubbles. Others I was getting some micro bubbles ending up in the tanks, but with that filter sock on there, that just eliminates it. Some rock down there, not a whole lot. Another heater. There's 1,300 watts of heaters throughout the system. And at times it's still not even enough when it's really cold outside. Even though the walls all have foam on them, all the way around the entire basement. And it's about 65 degrees down here. And I still have issues. And here we have a 44-gallon brute. And that has my mixed up salt water in there. And what that does is this thing does its own water changes with the Apex program, where there is a pump, a maxi jet, in the bottom of the sump, which is this line right here, which will take water out, pump it straight down the drain. And this is the siphon break here. This is not airtight or nothing like that. So the siphon will stop when the pump stops. And then there's another maxi jet in this garbage can that'll pump in fresh salt water through that line. The float valve will trigger, and there you go. Water change is done. Does about 5 gallons every day. Small amount, but every single day. Here we have another 1.5 inches, and then some spot flex on the end, considering the angle. By how the stock tank is curved, I had to put the bulkhead on there to curve, which made my hose hard to go down to the floor, so I had to use spot flex just to be able to make the bends. And that is a Reflow Barracuda / Hammerhead hybrid pump. I do have the Barracuda impeller in it. Things opened up all the way, and it just tees off to the other room, and the other end goes upstairs. I believe that is about it. Total of roughly 472 gallons of water, somewhere around there. Yeah, thanks for watching.